This demonstration is for Access Mod 3, End of Project 2, Rural Health Associates. I have already completed the Getting Started portion of the assignment. I'm now moving on to the projected steps. In number 1, you're supposed to append a table. So we're going to go into Create, and we're going to start with a query design, and we want the original records in the additional staff table. So we're going to add the additional staff table and close. We want this to be an append. We're going to append this to the professional staff table. And of course it has to be spelled exactly as you see it over here, which is in the current database, and we click OK. Then we want to do all of the fields, so I'm just going to double click on each one of the fields, and then we're going to run the query, and it says you're about to append 5 rows, and that is correct. We can click yes, and then if we want to view this in Datasheet View, those are the 5 rows that were appended to the professional staff. So you'll see we have Marlene, Medenzo, and so on. So if I go in here and I take a look, there's Marlene and the other 5. So you can see how that works. Now we're going to close the query, and we don't need to save this one, so we'll just say no. Now we're going to open up the family table. The family table right here. We want to open that up in Design View. And it says delete the county field. So I select the county field and hit delete on my keyboard and say yes to permanently delete it. Then we're going to change the data type for the income field. So we're on the income field. Let's go to the data type and change it to currency. And we want 0 decimal places. So we come down here and we change the 2 to 0. Then it says save the changes to the table. So we're going to go ahead and click save. And then it says the size has been changed. If data is lost, the validation rules may be violated. We're just going to go ahead and say yes to make sure that it's saved. And then we're going to close that. Then it says using a query, delete the records in the family table. So first of all, I'm going to go to Create, Query Design, and we want to use the family table, so we add that. And then we can redesign the window like we normally would. And we want to delete the records where the income field, so we're going to add the income field, is greater than 550. So I'm going to, this is going to be a delete query, so I have to be sure I click on delete. And we want to add the income records where it is greater than 55,000. So I type in greater than 55000. Now we're going to go ahead and we want to save this query. We want to call it delete high income. And I'm going to go ahead and save it. Then I'm going to run the query, and it says you're about to delete 1 row, which is correct, so I'll say yes, and then I can go ahead and close that query since I've already got it saved. Number 4 says to open the clinics table in design view. So I'm going to right click and go to the clinics table in design view, and it says create a validation rule for the state field. So I want to be sure I'm on the state field. And the validation rule goes down in the field properties. We want the values to be, we have to type in equals ID or equals MT or equals OR or equals WA. And then it says to add the validation text. So we click down in the validation text and we have to type in must be ID MT OR or WA. Now we can go ahead and save those rules. So I'm just going to click the quick save in the upper left hand corner. And then I'm going to go ahead and say yes. And then I can close clinics. Number 5 says to create a one-to-many relationship. So I'm going to go to the family, or it's going to be between the family table and the patients table. So under database tools, we click on relationships, and we're going to add the family table and the patients table. And then I want to make sure I can see all of my fields. And it says we want to have the family ID as the matching field. So I'm going to drag family ID over from the primary field to the foreign key in the patients field. And then it says make the relationship enforce referential integrity. So I click there, and then I'm going to click create. And then I want to save that, so I'm just going to click the quick save button in the upper left hand corner, and then I can close that. That created the one-to-many relationship. Number 6 says to open the health services table. So I'm going to right click and open the health services table in design view and make the service code the primary key. So with the service code selected, I'm going to click the primary key button for the table. And then it says ensure that any letters entered in the service code field display in uppercase. So I go down to the format and I add a greater than symbol to make sure that all letters will automatically be updated to uppercase if they aren't typed that way. Remember that less than makes them all small letters. I'm now going to save that table, and then I'm going to close it. In number 7, it says using an update query, update the field values in the state min income field in the income levels table. So let's first of all go to create. We're going to use a query design. We want to open up the income levels table. So I'm going to add that and redesign my window just a little bit. And then what it says is we want the state min income field. And this is going to be an update query, so we have to make sure that we change this to an update query. We want to update all of these to 16780, where the value in the county field is equal to twin. So I have to open up the county field, and the criteria is going to be twin. Twin Falls, I'm sorry, Twin Falls. So I make sure that I write that in. And then I'm going to save it right away so I don't forget to name it, and we're going to call it Update State Min Income, just like that, and save that. And then let's run the query, and it says that you're about to delete, or not about to delete, you're about to update 4 rows, which is correct. And then we say yes, and then we can close the query. Number 8 says open the income levels table in design view. So I'm going to right click on income levels and go to design view. It says add a calculated field named income difference to the end of the table. So I click down here and I'm going to put in the name income difference, just as it says. Then we want to add that as a calculated field, so I'm going to click on the data type and go to calculated. And we want to subtract state min income from income. So I'm going to double click on income, then put in my minus sign, and then double click on state min income, because it says we want to subtract the state min income from the income. Then we can click OK. We've got our new calculated field, and we want to be sure to save that, and then we can close this table. Or wait a minute, we don't want to close it yet. It says switch to the income levels datasheet view. So let's go to income levels datasheet view for step number 9. And there we go. And then it says switch, add the caption tax income to the income field. So we're going to go to the income field, and then on the fields tab we want to go to the tax or the name and caption. The name is income, but we want to change the caption to tax income. Then it says, we'll go ahead and click OK, so we have a new caption up there. Then it says to add a totals row. So we go back to the Home tab and click on the totals row to get that total row down there. And it says the maximum for income, for the income field. So we have this is the income field, which is now called tax income, and we want the max. So here we're going to click the drop down arrow and we're going to get maximum. And then it says the average for the state min income, which is right next to it. So we click in there and use the drop down arrow to go to average. That's the 2 that we're supposed to change. And then we're going to save that table, and then we can close the table and close our database and go ahead and submit it.